All right, listeners, you know I've had Emily Miller on a number of times. She wrote the book, Emily Gets Her Gun, Obama Wants Yours. She was lucky to get it in Washington, D.C. It was an incident in her apartment that led her to get a gun. She had to go through hell and high water, cost her a fortune to get it without even talking about the price of guns. But girls just want to have guns. More and more women are locking and loading. Unfortunately, here in Maryland and in Washington, it is very hard to get a permit to carry. But more women than ever, nearly 79% of firearms retailers reported an increase in female customers between 2011 and 2012, and those aren't the latest figures that are out there. Joining us today is Texas Law Shield attorney who specializes in the Second Amendment issues and is nationally known as a gun rights advocate, Kirk Evans. Kirk, good to have you on the Tom Marsh Show. We appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me on. Good morning.
Are you familiar with Emily's book?
Absolutely familiar with it,
yeah,
yes.
She is a dear friend of mine. And it would seem to me as if the reason that more women are packing is fairly simple. They feel safer. Most of them learn how to shoot. They go to a range. They take an NRA course, and they're a lot better off for it. But then there are states like Maryland and the District of Columbia, across the border in Pennsylvania, fairly easy to get the permit to carry, not in this state. But I just think women feel more safe in this day and age, and that's why they're getting them, and I don't blame them.
Absolutely. I was just out at a range yesterday, and there was everything from, young lady just out of college all the way to a elderly woman who had used her gun twice in self-defense.
There you go. And we have stories here in Baltimore where a woman in her own home, an elderly lady, was able to get somebody who had broken into her home, and she shot him. Good that he was shot, but you won't believe it. Here, if you do that, you get all kinds of grief from the state's attorney. But where you are, there's a more common sense thing to it. And in your research, have you seen that those areas that do have permit to carry, like in Pennsylvania, in most of the state, and your state in Texas, people are safer and communities are safer when people can?
The statistics have shown, despite the predictions 20 years ago, there were predictions that if you licensed concealed carry, that there would be, quote, blood in the streets. Despite those predictions, almost all of the stats have shown that violent crime has gone down after concealed carry has passed. If not, at worst, it stayed the same, but in most cases it's gone down.
Well, I can say this. My wife is a retired police officer, and she carried for 30 years. She loved her service revolver, which was a stainless steel 38 revolver, like on a .357 Magnum frame, I think it was, and a Smith & Wesson Model 65 shot. She felt a lot safer with it, feels a lot safer with it, and I think, of course, it's a lot easier if you're a police officer to get it done, but the statistics will bear this out. Why do you think there is such a backlash against people arming themselves, but it seems as if they seem rather quiet when it comes to the women arming themselves?
Well, that's a very interesting question now, is it? I guess it's less politically correct to criticize women who want to defend themselves. Certainly they're defending themselves from, I guess, more heinous crimes, sexual assault,
yes,
violence, things like that. Mm-hmm. And in this day and age, who's going to come out against somebody that wants to protect themselves against that?
Well, now, tell us what it's like in Texas. Is it difficult to get a permit to carry if you're a law-abiding citizen, and do you have to show a proficiency with the use of that weapon? You do.
Texas is actually sort of middle of the road.
Well, that's good to show the proficiency.
Correct. You mentioned Pennsylvania earlier. Pennsylvania, the concealed carry permit there is basically like a fishing license. You just walk in,
yes, that's right,
stamp, boom, you're out. Texas, you have to take a 4 to 6 hour course, and you actually have to shoot a target and get a particular score in your shooting at this target in order to qualify to get your concealed carry permit.
Well, now, Kirk, does that bother you? It doesn't bother me.
The course?
No, the requirement, the course,
oh,
yes.
No, absolutely not. We think folks should be educated the worst thing that can happen, and not for society, but somebody that, doesn't know how to use their gun is going to shoot themselves in the leg or, gosh forbid, shoot some member of their family when they're trying to unload it. So
accidentally, right.
We like the folks to be safe with their guns.
Now, is it just the media that has created this assault on a very fine organization? I'm not in it, but I know it's a fine organization, the NRA. They stress over and over and over again gun safety. They have great courses. Do you think it's just the media that has kind of tried to poison the well against this fine group?
Oh, absolutely. If you were anti-gun, they have to be your worst nightmare, because they're behind every pushback on gun rights. The NRA is behind, and they're highly effective organizations. So if you're anti-gun, they're not your best friends. All
right. Well, thanks. I know you got another hit coming up. Where's the next radio station? What part of the country?
I think it's Georgia.
Well, down in Georgia, you're going to have a lot of folks listening in who agree with you. And thanks for being with us, Kirk, today. And you can come back for a longer bit the next time. How's that?
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. So there you have it.